Welcome back, boys and some girls. My throat's a little sore today, so you'll have to forgive me. Okay, let's get into it. Deliver at all costs feels like somebody tried to mix water, oil and soap, but they put the soap in a completely different cup. And what we're left with is two different games in one game, with no real way to connect between them. And that's kind of how I feel after playing the entire game. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into it. As always, subject in this video will be in the story section. We have a lot to talk about, but also not much to talk about. Also, this game needs to be put on trial for its narrative crimes, and don't worry, I got this in the bag. You'll see me in the future about this. The game opens in a funny 1950s America and leans heavily into the comedic aspect, slowly introducing characters, some like Norman, Johnny and Harold, which are kind of funny comedic trope of characters, but also others like Donovan, which contradicts them because he's more stern and more serious. Initially, the story is all about humor as you make some comedic deliveries all around Saint Monique Island. But then, out of nowhere, it shifts tones between comedy and seriousness, often without any finesse. At this point, we are introduced to Winston's supposed tragic past. And yes, I say supposed because if you play the game, then you understand what I mean by saying supposed. If you didn't play the game, let me put it this way. By the time you finish playing the game, you will have a ton more questions that none of them have any answers for. Now, on top of that, characters also routinely make absurdly stupid decisions, seemingly just to force more drama or maybe set up some ridiculous driving sequence that defies logic. I'll be spoiling a little bit here, so if you care for that, then skip to the timestamp on the screen now. Ready? Spoiler time. At the very end of the game, Winston just casually reveals that time travel can cause hallucinations, depending on how long you stay in the other timeline. He shared this with Donovan, who immediately believes him, no questions asked, and does exactly what Winston says. But to get there, Winston drives a truck through the entire building, smashing everything in his path. Why? I have no idea. He could have just walked in, or maybe resolved this in a million different ways much earlier after the farm incident. Yet for some reason, we just get this trail of destruction. This gets worse. Winston destroyed Donovan's car, even though he knows they're also heading to the future together. Why? This kind of stupid decision making maybe works as comedy during some side missions, but in the main mission, it just kind of feels like lazy writing, trying to create drama when there is no drama. And then there are also unanswered questions like, what about Winston's past? I guess nobody cares, right? Why did Donovan hate Winston so much? Maybe he's jealous of his hair. Who knows? Why didn't Donovan report Winston or Gordon to the police? Because he's not a snitch. Why did Winston act the way he did for maybe 80% of the game? Definitely not to lengthen artificially the length of the game, right? Why was there a trial if both defendant and plaintiff are gone? Just so the writers maybe could throw in some information in between the game. Was the trial even real? I can go on, but there's just no point because we're not getting any answer for these questions, and that's kind of my point. If you have any theories on this, or if I missed something crucial, please let me know. Obviously, I have more things that I'm not gonna say because I'm not gonna sit here and just go by the story line by line and say what's wrong and what's right and what doesn't make any sense. Also, I know that they saved maybe 50% of the story for the sequel, and that's what I'm annoyed about. After this entire rant, here's my takeaway. The story revolves around a secret that, because it's kept hidden, will eventually come out and cause a repeat of the original incident that caused the secret to even begin. And that's all I'll say about the story. Ultimately, the plot kind of feels like half-baked setup for a sequel without giving the players really any reason to care about what's gonna come next. But I guess, hey, if you're here just for the ragdoll physics and the funny features, you'll have a blast. Just don't expect the story to make any sense. As you expect from a game about delivering items at all costs, the focus is on the driving, on the delivering. I'd say maybe 95% of your time outside of cutscenes is spent behind the wheel, not necessarily in your car, but in a car. Driving works well. You could just grab a controller and sit back, just go wild. Or if you really want, you could also drive slowly and follow the traffic laws, but that's kind of boring and slow, but I guess some people do that. Controls are pretty standard. You got gas, brake and reverse, plus you got some funny features like headlights and the horn to just honk at slow drivers. Once you get the company car, you can install some upgrades on it. Some can be cosmetic, some are more mission useful, and cash doesn't really do much. It's just there for fun, kind of. You don't need to grind. All the missions alone will get you through the entire game. You will get upgrades as you complete missions, and collecting toolboxes will just let you craft the upgrades a little bit earlier than the mission lets you if you already unlock them. Basically, if the story actually allows you to unlock it. Driving is pretty much straightforward, but the real fun comes from the varied objectives and minigame you have across the game. One side quest might be just you searching for somebody across the map, and another one might be actually racing a toy car into a house before a tiny police car will actually arrest you. That's kind of fun. The controls are wacky, but it's fun. The variety and pace just keeps everything fresh. However, the control can be a little bit strange and get some getting used to, especially because when you switch the camera angles, the controls also kind of switch. But I guess the chaos is part of the charm, and also setting off a nuke just because you forgot the control change with the camera position, that's just part of the experience. It's fun. The world itself has 3 types of collectibles. You have cash boxes, toolboxes, and secret cars. None of them are essential, but collectors like me will actually have a ton of fun hunting for them. You can also get a key that unlocks all the locations of all the collectibles on the map. Without it, some things can be a little tricky to spot depending on the camera angle. Also, you can get the key by either buying it for 5k or unlocking it by completing the side mission at the very start of the game that tells you to collect 200 cash boxes. You can take pretty much any parked car from the street, not just your company car, but they will lack your car's durability and upgrades. Also, if you cause too much mayhem, the police will come after you. Later on, there is another agency that's gonna come hunting for you, but don't worry, if you just jump into a trash can, you can wait this out. Aside from that, you also have 2 extra actions that are outside of driving: shoving and kicking people or objects, just whatever you want. Beware, because civilians will fight you back. Overall, I enjoyed the gameplay much more than the story. The story weakens as the game progresses, but the gameplay improves and really shines. Because of that, I can confidently recommend this game. If you're here for the chaotic driving and the destruction, you'll have a great time. The vibes can definitely draw you in during the gameplay. The music, the sound effects, they're just fantastic and they definitely enhance the experience. Here comes the however. However, during cutscenes, the tone often feels off. You might hear some happy, upbeat music during some serious moments, and combined with the nonsensical writing, it just breaks the immersion and you're just reminded you're sitting in front of a screen just watching. And it's disappointing because they do get it right during the gameplay, so why not during the cutscenes? I think the game cannot decide what it wants to be. Is it funny or is it serious? This indecision just causes whiplash from the constant changes. It makes it so hard to stay engaged when the cutscenes feel so disconnected from the gameplay. The visuals on the characters don't really hold up in close-up pictures, and the game might have been better served to just be a completely isometric story game from the start to the finish, where the art style could actually shine. Instead, the combination of the avatars on the chat boxes and the NPC models kind of feel awkward. The avatars, in my opinion, inside the chat boxes look much better and more consistent than the not quite old, not quite new 3D NPCs. It's kind of a clash of styles that just makes the presentation feel wrong. Performance was great. Even while I was causing a ton of chaos by just destroying multiple buildings and leaving a ton of rubble all across the ground, the game just held up fine. 0 crashes, 0 freezes, and any noticeable frame drops. Just 0. Everything was perfect. For monetization, the game cost about $32, converted obviously for my currency, so your price may vary a little bit. For an additional $10, you can also get the soundtrack of the game, which has 36 songs spanning the entire game, so from start to finish. And there are no other monetization options. DAAC, Deliver at All Costs. This game was quite the journey. It took me on a total spin. For the longest time I couldn't decide if this game was brilliant or just outright dumb. By the end, I'm confident in saying that what I suspected during the demo and the early gameplay, this game just doesn't know what it wants to be. It just has no decision what it wants to be. Is it a serious game with a plot kind of reminiscing of Killdozer, minus the very obvious thing that I don't want to spoil, but if you know, you know? Or is it a more comedic game with ragdoll physics and NPCs making ridiculous decisions purely for the laughs? Honestly, I don't know, and I also don't think the game knows. This indecision hurts both sides. Serious moments lose impact and the comedic moments kind of feel out of place. It's a shame because there are glimpses of brilliance here under the tonal confusion. Now the ultimate question, would I recommend this? Yes, but with conditions. If you don't care about the story, or you can enjoy it without really trying to make any sense of the inconsistencies, you'll probably have a good time. Immerse yourself in the serious moments when they work, and just roll with the chaos otherwise. I'm not going to give this game any numbered grade. I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. It just doesn't feel right for something that can be very divisive for some people, so I'm just not gonna do that anymore. And I hope this breakdown actually helped you reach a decision, or maybe just open your eyes into things you didn't think before. But that's it. Hope you can consider it. That's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed. So if you did, thank you. If you didn't, let me know why so I can improve. It says I keep safe. See you next time. Bye bye.